All right, what up? Welcome to the Honest Wargamer. We're here to talk about the event results from around the world today on the Age of Sigmar Stats Center. You can, of course, go on to honestwargamer.com, click the stats tab, and you can find out about the deep stats, the numbers brought to you by Rob and Ziggy. It's got so much information on there. It's almost a glut of information. It's almost like if you're making statements not based on the information here, you're an idiot, and I don't want to listen to you. So if you haven't been there before you leave a comment on this YouTube video, then I don't want to listen to your comment. Don't leave it. Right. Okay. War into the Mountain 11 happened in Australia. And that's the first one. That's the first one that we're going to look at. Now, it was won by Joel Graham. We've already had a deep dive about this list with the Twitch chat, who I'm filming live in front of right now. And you can join us every day, Monday till Friday, 11 a.m. till 3 p.m. And we've been talking about this. Joel was running Be'lakor, Kairos, the Blue Scribes, the contorted epitome with the fourfold blade. And then he also had the Safe Start Demon Prince, which was the general with that command trait, the Ruinosaura, adding to that ward save, and then the Armor of the Pact. And it was Mark of Khorne. 2x5 Flesh Hounds and 10 Pink Horrors with the Umbral Spell Portal and Life Swarm. It's a blue control deck as an army, the ability to make your opponent not achieve battle tactics while you do achieve battle tactics. We've seen it do particularly well in the UK. Australia is also now following suit. We've also seen it take out an event in Italy, which we're going to talk about in a bit. However, it doesn't do quite so well in the US. So regional metas may vary, and also the players playing them. It's got very small meta representation, but it does have a solid win rate. As you can see, not on this page. 1 second. It has a 57% win rate. So it's 2% over what we think is comfortable as a list. There's loads of ways to build it. Not really. But they normally feature 10 Pink Horrors, Kairos, Be'lakor, and that Demon Prince with the Mark of Khorne. Shout out to Joel. He should be super chuffed with himself. In the 4-1 bracket, so he's the only one to go 5-0. So this is War on the Mountain. In the 5-0 bracket, we had a group of different players. We had Terence Voller with the Sons of Behemoth Breaker Tribalist, which had Cragbro in it, 2 Gatebreakers. Cragbro featuring very heavily in a lot of lists that are doing very well in a minute. The whole Destruction faction has been raised up by a Beast of Chaos model, and I don't think they know what to do about it. Matt Tyrrell, so that was, by the way, for Terence, it was double Gatebreaker, Cragbro, and then 1 single Manlet, I think is the correct name for a single Man Crusher, is a Manlet. If I'm wrong, please do let me know. Matt Tyrrell, one of the former Australian Masters, or maybe even the current former Master and captain of the Age of Sigmar World Team for Australia, was running Ideth Deepkin. He had a Lotan, a Tidecaster, but most importantly, he had a brick of 30 Namarti Reavers, 2 lots of 10 Thralls. The Thralls for screens, I assume. The Reavers doing huge amounts of shots. Can get up to 60 shots, hitting on 2s, reroll on 1s, wounding on 2s, rend 1, which is fantastic. They can run and shoot. They've got some great range. And because of Forgotten Nightmares, they play really well into enemy shooting because they can block off shooting around the board. He also had 3 Alapexes, and I'm assuming with Razor Shell Harpoons. Also excellent for taking out backboard threats while themselves being safe from shooting, which is super cool. Then you got Jonathan Byrne that was running a Sons of Behemoth list. A little bit different. He was running 2 lots of 3 Manlets, so 2 lots of 3 Man Crushers and a couple of Bigs, doing what Mega Gargants do, standing on objectives and having a great time. And then Nick Matheson with the Stormcast Eternals list running... the name eludes me for a second. Hallowed Knights. But he had Krondys in there, which is very unique. Rarely see Krondys. We just had a little bit of a deep dive on Krondys. It seems really good in conjunction with Gardas. Gardas seems such a steal for 150 points in a Stormcast Eternals list, giving up that 5-up ward. Also a reroll charge, and also +1 attack on Krondys when he does decide to go in and do some fighting. Plays really well into units, an army that's got lots of models in it. Then you had Laura Relictor for that rerollable 2-up teleport, 3x5 Vindicators, and then 6 Raptors and 2 Fulminators. So those Raptors making an appearance again, being a 1-drop, and then those Fulminators doing lots of damage as well. But Krondys, quite rare. We rarely see him in many of the lists that go 4-1-5-0, so he should be super chuffed with himself. This is Nick Matheson. Jet Griffiths. No, Nick Matheson. And then in the 4-1 bracket as well with Jet Griffiths. Forgot about that. And he was running a Blood Gullet list. I almost forgot him. Tyrant, Huskard on Thundertusk, Slaughtermaster and a Butcher. What? Am I mental? Jet Griffiths. 4-1. With 3 lots of 6 ogre gluttons and 8 lead belchers and 2 lots of 2 frost sabers. What? Huskard and Thundertusk. Slaughtermaster. No Stonehorns. Okay. How do you... What? Amazing. Nick Matheson is probably the best Warhammer player in the world. And I'm making that statement right now. That is an incredible list. Things you never see in an Ogre More Tribes list. Gluttons, never once. Lead Belchers, never twice. Right? Frost Sabers you see a lot. Okay, Frost Sabers are fine. A Slaughtermaster, a Butcher? What a legend. Anyway, so, I mean, maybe pick of the week. Pick of the week for this guy, Jet Griffiths. Can we get some round of applause for Jet Griffiths in the comments and chat? Wow. Okay. Lost his first game and then just smashed it through the rest of the event. Big love for that. Whew. Okay, well done, Jet. Amazing. So that's War in the Mountain. 2 more events to go. Ogres. Just let's take a moment to just check out Ogres because it's worth looking at because they're doing okay, but they're not doing great. Ogre More Tribes, 47% win rate. So, like, they're in the okay territory. They're between 45 and 55%. You often see Boulderhead because you see the monster versions taken, and they're the ones that tend to do better generally in the meta. Blood Gullet not taken quite as much and is at 45%. So there you go. So just unbelievable stuff. So huge shout out on that. That's really, really good. Okay, good. So looking at the Great South Waaagh, right? The Great South Waaagh in, I can't remember, somewhere, Bournemouth. In Bournemouth, in the UK, we had a 70-player event, roughly 70-player event, in which it was won by Lumineth Realm Lords, and I am blown away. As we know, the Winter FAQ drastically affected these Lumineth Realm Lord lists, with Sentinels becoming basically unplayable, 20 points up on each unit of 10, making for 60 points on what was their competitive lists. Now, I haven't looked at this winning Lumineth Realm Lords list, but it's been played by one of the best performing players in the world, Mr. Matt Davies, a member of Team Wales, but also, if we look at the TSN player stats, he's in the top 16. He's one of the better players around the world. Mind-blowing. Yeah, he did that with Sylvaneth. He's got one in there with Daughters of Cain, but he's a big elf fan. Okay, so Matt Davies, this isn't a fact that Lumineth are back. This is the fact that Math Mallow is one of the better players that you're going to find in the UK tournament scene at the moment. Phenomenal player, great human being. Really like him as a person. Happens to be one of my good friends, so I'm super lucky to be able to call him a friend and that I know him. Okay, but he's a good player. And he's played exceptionally well. So it's only because of him and his skill level that he's able to bring what is a poorly performing faction. Now the Winter FAQ has happened because, as many people have said online, that 60 points has made the army unplayable. So what did he do? Did he start running a bunch of Helon kind of like wind chargers? Is that what we've seen? Has he decided to switch it up and take a bunch of Wardens, go for kind of more of a Warden spam look and do something unique there? Has he flipped it, played Metrica, taken a bunch of Stone Guard? What has he done with his list? So let's look about it. So it's Zytrek. Okay, I'd love to deep dive that in the future because the question is, how did he do it? Okay, how did he do it? He had Severith. Okay, Severith's really good in an army. Okay, how did he do it? He had Severith. It was pretty hard, lads, won't lie. He had Severith in his list, right, with the Lord of the Seventh Wind. Now, Severith is really good because obviously he's got that shooting attack, he's got the move in the opponent's enemy phase so he can move block. He's got the ability to do mortal wounds when he moves over stuff, so he's kind of like an arcane bolt that flies around, also is unchargeable pretty much, and has also got a great shooting attack, okay? He's also got a Venary Lord Regent, yeah, which is general. Which was his general, with a fast learner and the gift of the Kalinar. Now, the Lord Regent's obviously really good because he can sun bless weapons. So sun metal weapons, he can do it to D3 units. So really key in that. He also had the Speedy Heesh spell as well. And then he has a Sonari Law Seeker, which is a great little clutch key piece that you can see in lots of Lumineth lists, ability to go and hold an objective right from the get-go, and it means your opponent has to go and try and take it off you. You can just do some really good stuff with the Law Seeker, and it's really good. Great war scroll, amazing utility piece. Everyone would have wanted that. Okay, so then his battle line, his 30 Sentinels. Oh my God, I can't believe he put that in his list. How would he have put 30? Why would he have put 30? How and why would he have put 30 Sentinels in his list after the huge points hike, which have made them unplayable, unusable, I would say. That's mind-blowing. This is the same man who was playing Alariel, the Warsong Revenant. He was going 4-1 consistently. In fact, actually, Ziggy, if you've got a link to the player stats, if you're still on the chat, let's go look at Math Mallow's player record. Because as you can see, he's been only playing with underperforming armies. So again, this has got nothing to do with Sentinel still being good at all. And it's got absolutely, thank you, Ziggy, it's got everything to do with Math Mallow's skill sets. And it's super important for us all to talk about. If we just go look for a moment, and if we just deep dive, you can go on this is completely free thanks to Ziggy and Rob. If we just click Matthew Davies there, you can see he currently 7th best performing player in the world. So let's just go and look at him. Let's get a bit of a breakdown of him as a player. So he ran Daughters of Cain once, but he's run Sylvaneth 3 times. And he has also run Lumineth 2 other times. But one of those Lumineth plays, he went 2-3, and the other Lumineth play, he went 4-1. He's only ever gone 5-0 with Daughters of Cain. So, like, he's really pushed those Sylvaneth armies really well. So it's only really thanks to Matt's skill level that we've seen such an impressive performance from this low-tier army. So 30 Sentinels, incredible that he handicapped himself like that. 2 lots of 10 Wardens, and then another 10 Sentinels. What a brave soul. What a brave soul handicapping himself like that. That is unbelievable. So good. And then another Wind Spirit. Wow. An Emerald Life Swarm. So this is very different to a lot of the lists that we've seen in Age of Sigmar 3.0 instead of 3.1, because those other lists would have had 2 Wind Spirits and 30 Sentinels. And so he's just completely gutted his ability to control the board space there. And just outrageous performance there from Matt, and I think he should be only 92 wounds in this terrible army. Just unbelievable. Well done, Matt. And we're going to deep dive it. Matt's going to come on the show. We're going to deep dive the list in detail. We're going to talk to Matt about how he plays and what he does. So 40 Sentinels in his list with Severith, a Wind Spirit, Law Seeker, and the Regent. We're going to deep dive those plays and how he did it. So that'd be really fun. Shout out to Matt. He should be really chuffed with himself. In the 4-1 bracket, we had a bunch of different players. So in the 4.1 bracket, specifically because they got 4 wins and a draw, it's Pete W. and Dan Arnold. So Dan Arnold of Team Wales and Pete. Now, Pete, as I understand it, works a lot and doesn't get much opportunity to put his Seraphon Thunder Lizard army on the tabletop, so he'd be super chuffed that he doesn't go to many events and he's done so well at such a large event. So shout out to Pete. He took what is a fairly standard Thunder Lizard list in many ways. Double Stegodon, 2 lots of 10 Skinks, the Engine of the Gods, unit of 2 Salamanders, and also a Bastillodon, obviously shooting twice, all in Thunder Lizard, with a Slan and a Skink Priest. Took some Chameleon Skinks as well, which I think is a really nice little side pick. Really good for being able to shoot characters at the back of the board, in addition to all of the shooting that you're getting from the front of the board, like the Sky Streak Bows and the Salamanders and the Bastillodon. As well as, we can't forget, Comet's Call, which comes from the Slan, and in addition, all of the mortal wounds that you take from the Realm Shaper engine. You sometimes, like we'll talk about in one of the other 4-1 lists, also see a Celadon Prime put in there as well, just to kind of like double up on all those mortal wounds that you're doing at range. But a really, really cool list, and especially as Pete doesn't get much opportunity to play, he should be really proud of himself, especially playing up against Dan, who does play quite a bit, and Dan has been playing loads of Warhammer in Age of Sigmar 3, and in my opinion is a fantastic player. So big shout out to Pete. Dan Arnold, what's not to say? He ran 3 lots of 2 Stormdrake Guard. He also took, I don't think he took 6 Raptors, or am I being mental? 3 lots of Stormdrake Guard as his battle line. Oh, sorry, no. but he took not Krondis, which we've seen previously do well in 4-1. He took Karazai. So he took the other 600-point dragon, took a Lord, and he also took himself a Knight Draconis as well. And I don't know if he was... I don't know if he had a... He didn't. No, he didn't. He didn't have 6 long strikes. Okay. So there you go. So dragons are dragons are dragons. So 2 different players and 2 different players in the places in the world running different Stormcast lists. One with Karazai, one with Krondis. Both going 4-1. Should be super proud of themselves. Well done to those guys. So that's fantastic. Phil Marshall was running a Slaves to Darkness list, very much like we've seen ever since Age of Sigmar started, or Age of Sigmar 3 started, sorry, with an Archaon. It's nice to see an Archaon up there. Those god characters have definitely got a bullseye on them in the Age of Sigmar meta at the minute. He had a Chaos Lord, obviously. He also had a Chaos War Shrine, obviously, because Chaos War Shrine gives you rerolls to hit and wound on Archaon, and the Chaos Lord gives you pile and attack twice. So all in 6 circles, so those 2 units of 2 Varangard, which he took, are super, super strong because they charge, they get to pile and attack twice, which is really good, so he can trade really nicely with Varangard, or he can send in Big Daddy Archaon to fight before he enacts. They're all marks each, so they get to reroll 1s to save, and they also, really importantly, have a spell ignore, which is really good. Really happy to see Archaon and also those Stormcast lists, those Save Stance lists still do really well. Mike Whitley, with his Stormcast Eternals Hammers of Sigmar list, I don't remember exactly, so sorry, Mike. I think it was something along the lines of Knight Draconis, Lord Castellan, 3x5 Liberators, 4 Stormstrike Guard, and 6 Vanguard Raptors. Now, you might not have heard about how these armies play. Basically, the dragons are able, so the Stormdrake Guard are able to move in the hero phase and then also move in the movement phase, giving them a 24-inch move, basically. They can also shoot, thanks to the Knight Draconis, in the shooting phase and can shoot later again, doing lots of mortal wounds. The Vanguard Raptors have got a Holy Command, which lets them shoot in the hero phase in addition to shooting the shooting phase. So you've got like 2 shooting phases happening in one turn, really, coming out from that army, and then you've got 4 dragons in your face fighting, all with a 3-up save, all with the opportunity to rally, basically. So that's Mike Whitley. Matt Goldsborough took a Stormcast Eternals list that was very similar. Well, 6 long strikes, 4 fulminators, and the Celestin Prime was in his list, I'm pretty certain. Now, the Celestin Prime makes lots of sense. But Matt Goldsborough may be a little bit mad he didn't take the Sentinels to this particular event. We'll see. But Matt's been pushing the Stormcast around ever since they came out and released, and is still doing very, very well in the TSN Global Rankings. Thomas Bastian with the Daughters of Cain list was running Marathi and the Bow Snakes, did really well, just had a tough matchup round 3. Cole Wright is probably the standout list and or player to talk about from the 4-1 bracket with his kruleboyz list. It was Big Yellows, but it wasn't maximum Bolt Boys. It wasn't 42 like we saw at the TSN Arena this weekend. He had a unit 6 and 2 units of 3. He also was running Sludge Raker, 2 units of 10 Gut Rippers, 2 Manskewer big Killbows, so the artillery pieces, and also was running himself 10 Hogrop Slitters, as well as a couple of other characters in attendance. Obviously, this one called a Shaman. Really interesting. I would love to talk to Cole about how he played and what happened with his list. Because truthfully, from looking at the list, I don't really understand how he did so well. I assume it's because Cole's a legend, right? And that's cool. I would like to know what things happened in his army to work quite nicely. I think a lot of people have been pushing kruleboyz around. They don't have a particularly great win rate, settled around the 41 to 42% win rate. And from a new book, that's pretty rough. So it would be really interesting to see what his thoughts are on that list, but that's pretty fun. Aaron Foley with his Daughters of Cain did have Marathi and did have 5 bow snakes, but mainly it was a combat army, 2 lots of 10 combat snakes, also with a Cauldron of Blood in his list as well. So well done to him. And then Henrik with his Thunder Lizard list. It's slightly different to the list that we saw being played by P, in that he swapped up having quite as many bodies on the board, or Stegodon specifically, for that Celestin Prime. So he didn't have the Camo Skinks, and he had 1 less Stegodon, but he got the Celestin Prime out of it, and that Celestin Prime, so good in conjunction with, as I've said before, Comet's Call, and of course, the terrain piece. And then finally, Tony Kirby with Soulblight Gravelord's list, with Nagash, which is pretty good, with that big bullseye on his face, very much like Archeon at the minute. The guard characters all suffering to all of the shooting. 2 lots of 40 zombies, necromancer, and also a vampire lord, so the zombies could do some really, really great output in combat, all in Vycross Dynasty as well. So, congratulations to all of them in the form bracket and everyone at the Great South Waaagh. Okay, at the Gods of War event in Italy, our final event from this weekend. I wonder what it's going to do to all of the stats. It's exciting because we have 2 5-0s to look at, which is really good. Now, the first 5-0 that we're going to look at is Meme Venerazzo. He was running a Legion of the First Prince list. That's right. Legion of the First Prince has taken first place twice this week out of 3 events. Twice, with the underpowered Luminous Brown Lords taking the other one. So congratulations to him. Now, how does this differ to the list that we saw previously? Well, he's changed around 2 elements. He doesn't take the Contorted Epitome, and instead he's changed that up for a Bloodthirster of Incessant Rage, and he also has changed from having 2 units of Fleshhounds to 1 unit of Fleshhounds, 1 unit of Plague Bearers, but still those 10 pink horrors, and he's got the Umbral Spell Portal in the list as well, as opposed to having the Life Swarm, which Joel had. So Italy and Australia high-fiving this weekend, both running away with Legion of the First Prince list, which will be really good for them. Other than that, there isn't really much to talk about. It's a blue control deck, as I said, with the Australian version of this list. We've talked about this loads. We can deep dive at loads. We've talked about lots on the Twitch show already. It's just a very strong, very competent list, but you must play it super well. In maybe like kind of like, this is all about control, deft manipulation of the board state. The other 5-0 list, run by Simone De Baggio, who interestingly is Roberto Baggio's brother, little brother. Most people don't know that. Simone De Baggio was running a Frostsword and Stonehorn in an Ogre Mawtribe Zone army, but also was running Cragbro. Cragbro, the End of Empires. A unit of 2 Mournfang and then 2 units of 2 Storm Stonehorn Beast Riders. Now, the thing about Cragbro is he lets you charge on 3d6. The thing about Ogres is that when they do a charge, your however many, whatever the total is that you rolled for your charge roll, let's say it was a 10, you roll a dice, you roll those 10 dice, and then any 4-ups will cause a mortal wound. That's at least true for the big monsters anyway, right? So lots of mortal wounds when you charge in, lots of impact hits, lots of damage, right? Really, 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 really strong. Really good. Now, this is just all aggression all the time. We had 4 Cragbros playing this weekend. 1 Gloomspike Gits Cragbro, 2 Sons of Behemoth Cragbros, and then 1 Ogre Mawtribe's Cragbro. And honestly, I've got to say, I feel like this is one of the most fun lists that you can currently put out there. Yeah, you'll have a great time. It's fairly competitive. Like, I think Simone has done particularly well to go 5-0. Ultimately, I think that this will be a really fun army for people to pick up and play. Really easy to paint, put on the table. Really good. And congratulations to Simone, because I think it's more of a 4-1 list, so going 5-0 should be super proud. Now, before we get to the 5-0 bracket, I want to talk about Vito Moscardini. Vito Moscardini. I'm not very good at pronouncing these. Yeah, and Vito had an amazing event at the Gods of War event, running a very unique list, so I wanted to shout it out. He was running a Gloomspike Gits, he was running Grimscuttle Tribes, he did a Scuttleboss and Gigantic Spider, 2 Web Spinner Shamans on a Ragnarok Spiders, 2 times 10 Spider Riders, 4 times 5 Spider Riders, and then, maybe the first time I've seen them in Competitive Age of Sigmar, was a Ragnarok Spiders with Spiderfang War Party, and he had 2 of them. 2 War Party of Ragnaroks. Yeah, now, I'm not, like, I think that this is one of those tougher lists to push around, so I think he's done really well to place where he placed, because ultimately, Spider Riders are just having a real tough time anyway, playing in these lists. So I think the fact that he brought the list and the fact that he did as well as he did with them, he should be super chuffed with it. So shout out to him, and everyone start painting up your spiders for the spider meta. Okay, in the 4-1 bracket, nice mix of different armies. However, it does look like there were only 5 different factions in the top 35 at this event, thanks to Zuckernucker in the chat. Okay, so let's talk about these different lists and what we've seen in them. Lorenzo Bakifa was running some dragons and storm strikes. Long strikes. Roberto Caligari was running a Maw Crusher, and weirdly only went for the one War Chanter as opposed to a War Chanter and also a double War Chanter. He went for a War Chanter and a Weird Knob, which was quite fun. And he had a nice mixed army. He had 2 units of 3 Gore Grunters. He had 10 Brutes, 5 Brutes, 5 Ardboys, and a Rogue Idol. The plethora of Ironjaw's army. So that's really nice to see and super fun. Francesco Biakochi was running 4 bigs in his list, in his Sons of Behemoth Destruction list. Ryan Agius was running a Tzeentch Archonites list. And what was cool about the Tzeentch Archonites list is Disciples of Tzeentch list, is he was running more of a summoning build. So he did have Kairos and a Lord of Change in there, and he also had the Blue Scribes, obviously, 2 lots of 10 pink horrors, but was running lots and lots of casting to try and generate lots of summoning in his list, and also makes his list a bit of a magical gun line, all run in Host Arcanum. Luca Del Boga was running dragons and long strikes. Pietro Paolo Cardinali was running a Seraphon list, which was Thunder Lizard with a Basti and some other stuff, but he didn't format his list very well, so I didn't read it. And then Tommaso Mariani was running a Sons of Behemoth list, which is kind of the new Sons of Behemoth list. Cragbro, double Gatebreaker, and then Jamie the Man Crusher, so 1 solo Man Crusher. So you got Crag Rogan, 1 Man Crusher, Jamie, and 2 Gatebreakers as his special guests in the 4-1 bracket. And that rounds up this week's set of events.